A massive trend is forming behind closed doors at the facility right now, and it proves our front office is absolutely terrified about one glaring hole on this offense. They are aggressively hunting for a first-round offensive tackle, hosting absolute behemoths to protect our future. If you thought our offensive line was locked and loaded for this season, you are about to be shocked by what is actually happening. If you bleed our team's colors and want the brutal, unfiltered truth every single day, hit that like button, share this video with a fellow fan, and subscribe right now so we can keep growing this massive community. With the NFL draft literally less than 2 weeks away, the panic is officially starting to set in. Are we seriously about to watch an incredibly promising season completely implode because we ignored the most critical position on the football field? Don't look now, but the writing is officially on the wall. The brass has zeroed in on the offensive tackle position, and their recent closed-door meetings and prospect visits are screaming that they do not trust the guys we currently have on the roster to keep our quarterback upright. Let's just rip off the Band-Aid and address the elephant in the room. The coaching staff is basically spelling it out for us. The future of Ozzy Trapilo is a complete and total mystery. Our head coach, Ben Johnson, recently came out and admitted that the left tackle spot is a massive unknown, not just for this upcoming season, but potentially for the next 5 years. And it all comes down to that devastating injury he suffered. You would honestly much rather see a guy tear an ACL than rupture a patellar tendon. The recovery statistics for a full patellar rupture are downright frightening, especially for a towering, 6'8" human being whose entire livelihood depends on anchoring his massive frame against elite, freakish edge rushers. The human knee just doesn't bounce back from that easily. Some people tried to bring up Josh Simmons having a solid rookie year after his own injury, but that was just a partial tear. He missed significant time dealing with a personal matter, and he only played 8 games anyway. A full rupture on a guy the size of Trapilo is a completely different, absolute nightmare. The front office knows this, which is exactly why they are desperately looking for top-tier insurance. Now, it does sound like there is some positive momentum for Braxton Jones, who has apparently bulked up to 310 pounds. If he can just regain the elite movement skills he showcased before that nasty ankle injury at the end of 2024, he could be a highly serviceable option. We all remember the intense training camp battles we witnessed featuring guys like Ihenacho, Braxton Jones, Ozzy Trapilo, and eventually the versatile Theo Benedict. We also have Jedrick Wills hovering as an undeniable X-factor, and the staff seems to love Benedict as that crucial 6th offensive lineman who can plug various holes. But let's be entirely real here, you do not enter a high-stakes season relying on crossed fingers and prayers. That brings us to the first major piece of the puzzle. The team just brought in Utah's phenomenal left tackle prospect, Caleb Lamu, for an official visit. He literally posted it on his Instagram story while walking through the facility, so this is not just a rumor, it is a cold, hard fact. Out of the 2 highly touted Utah tackles, the other being Spencer Fano, who will likely be drafted way earlier or maybe even pushed inside to guard because of his shorter arms, Lamu is the guy sitting squarely in our crosshairs at pick number 25. Lamu is projected to go anywhere from the late teens to the early 30s, making him a prime candidate. At the NFL Combine, this absolute unit measured in at over 6'6", tipped the scales at well over 300 pounds, and still managed to easily throw up 25 reps on the bench press. The highly respected draft analyst Dane Brugler recently dropped his annual draft guide and noted that while Lamu absolutely must get stronger and add some nasty grit to his game, NFL teams are completely captivated by his movement ability. Brugler confidently stated that his upside points directly to becoming a high-level NFL starter. And let me tell you, his fluid movement is a perfect match for the zone run concepts we rely on so heavily. Sure, he might not be the most refined, punishing run blocker right this second, but his pure athleticism in open space is exactly what you want, especially if he gets to line up right next to a veteran anchor like Joe Thuney. If you look at the advanced grading, his pass blocking is where he truly shines. He is technically incredibly sound. Over the last 2 years as a starter in college, he surrendered exactly 2 total sacks. And last season, 0. Absolute perfection. He only gave up 8 total pressures across the entire 2025 season, which is mind-blowing. Coach Ben Johnson has publicly stated that the number 1 trait he demands from his tackles is the ability to block one-on-one on an island, and Caleb Lamu might be the absolute best in this entire draft class at doing exactly that. So, it is time for the question of the day, and I need every single one of you getting highly active in the comments section right now. If our general manager pulls the trigger on Caleb Lamu at pick 25, how would you grade that selection? Are we talking an A, B, C, D, or an F? Drop your honest letter grade down below immediately. Now, Lamu is just one of 3 true left tackles in this class who carry a legitimate first-round grade. The other 2 are Monroe Freeling and the absolute titan, Kadyn Proctor. While we haven't heard much buzz linking the team to Freeling, likely because he is just a one-year starter who only really caught fire in the back half of last season, the sheer interest in Kadyn Proctor is completely undeniable. Our general manager, Ryan Poles, alongside assistant GM Jeff King, literally flew out to Tuscaloosa for his pro day and even took him out for a private, sit-down dinner. You do not deploy your top executives like that unless you are profoundly intrigued. Proctor is easily the most polarizing prospect on the entire draft board. We are talking about a gargantuan 6'7" monster, weighing well over 350 pounds, yet he crushes explosive athletic drills like a man half his size. But there is a massive catch that terrifies some scouts. Can he keep his weight under control? He has maintained a solid 350 to 355 pound range recently, which fits his massive frame beautifully. However, the rumors that he ballooned up to an alarming 390 pounds by the end of fall camp last year have executives losing sleep. He had to dramatically shed that weight as the season went on, but he still managed to put together the absolute best season of his collegiate career, showing off physical gifts that scream future franchise tackle. Dane Brugler noted that Proctor's size and power are an exciting foundation, but teams need to curb their enthusiasm until his strict discipline and technique catch up to his raw, brutal strength. Because he is so huge, his technique can severely break down late in exhausting games. Some scouts even think he belongs at guard. And honestly, that might be his massive secret appeal for us. Think about it realistically. If Ozzy Trapilo miraculously recovers and reclaims his spot at left tackle, you are not moving Ozzy inside. But a ruthless mauler like Proctor, you absolutely could. Looking ahead to 2027, Jonah Jackson will be 30 years old, and Joe Thuney will be 34. Both of those veteran contracts become incredibly easy to shed next offseason. Proctor could easily kick inside to guard, giving us incredible long-term flexibility that a pure technician like Caleb Lamu simply does not offer. But hold on, because the plot thickens even more. 3 prospect visits make a confirmed trend, and the front office has taken a shockingly close look at a right tackle prospect, Max Iheanachor out of Arizona State. Our general manager was practically glued to him at his pro day, and he was quickly scheduled for a highly coveted top 30 visit. Here is the absolute wildest part about this kid. He has only been playing the sport of football for 5 total years. He played 2 years in high school and 3 years at Arizona State. He was a starter for 2.5 of those years at right tackle, and he has literally never taken a single collegiate snap on the left side. Yet, he is skyrocketing up draft boards right into that sweet spot around pick 25, where teams like Philadelphia at 23, San Francisco at 27, and New England at 31 are aggressively lurking. Dane Brugler describes Iheanachor as an ascending player with an incredibly exciting foundation of build, balance, quickness, and pure play strength, though he heavily cautions that the kid might need a full redshirt year to properly develop. But if you have faith in our brilliant coaching staff, from Ben Johnson all the way down to Dan Rauschar and assistant offensive line coach Kyle Dean, you have to believe they can mold this raw lump of clay into an absolute diamond. With his unmatched athletic profile, there is a very real world where he eventually flips to the left side, just like Ozzy Trapilo successfully did earlier in his career. Sure, he probably wouldn't beat out Braxton Jones for the starting job on day 1, but his long-term ceiling is astronomical. We also cannot entirely rule out the fascinating, blockbuster idea of eventually flipping Darnell right over to the left side and plugging Iheanachor right into his natural right tackle position. The bottom line here is undeniable. The front office's actions are screaming way louder than their words. They are heavily scouting round 1 caliber tackles because they simply do not trust the health and longevity of the current roster. Between Caleb Lamu, Kadyn Proctor, and Max Iheanachor, alongside other names like Francis Mauigoa and Blake Miller, who are strictly right-sided players with dozens of starts, the team is doing deep, exhaustive homework. And hey, if they decide to wait, maybe grabbing a wild card like Caleb Tiernan out of Northwestern in the back end of the second round is the fallback plan. The reality is, you cannot survive in this brutal league without elite protection. You can have all the offensive weapons in the world, but if your quarterback is constantly running for his life because the left tackle collapsed on a one-on-one island, your season is completely doomed. The clock is officially ticking, the pressure is immense, and the entire future of our offense hangs perfectly in the balance.